As you grow your business, the more eyes you'll get, the more you need to think about your security. Let me ask you something. Are you vulnerable? Protecting your data is extremely important. Don't be fooled by Instagram. The internet can still be a scary space. At the current moment, the dark web accounts for 5% of the total internet, and all hell can break loose without the right framework to keep your company data protected. That's why today's episode is brought to you by NordVPN. What's VPN stand for? It stands for Virtual Private Network, a service that encrypts your internet traffic and protects your online identity. With a VPN, you can securely access apps, websites, and entertainment from anywhere in the world. Picture a virtual force field around your computer. NordVPN is one of the best VPNs in the market. If you're looking for a peace of mind when you're at home on a private network, this is for you. Also, is that messaging app blocked in your region? That awesome TV show unavailable in the country you live in? Change your IP location and enjoy the internet with no borders. Y'all know the Canadian struggle. Trust me, it's real. Right now, you have an offer of up to 68% off NordVPN. Yes, 68%. Hit the link in our podcast show notes for the offer. It does expire soon, so claim it quickly. Now, let's get back into the show. Like, keep on grinding, boy. Your life can change in 1 year. And even when it's dark out, the sun is shining somewhere. Oh, man. I'm ready to record,
murder,
fam.
bro. I'm ready. Ready to
fam.
pod.
Let's go. Oh, man. Owen, you feeling good?
Feeling good, man. You know, had a great night out last night. Waking up right now just to do this with you. It's always like a good thing just to wake up and pod. You know, first thing you do is hit the mics.
I got you. Wake up and ready to go.
Wake up and pod.
All right, let's get it. Hello and welcome to the Hustle Over Everything podcast. This is the podcast where you receive stories, tips, and strategies from entrepreneurs who've done it to grow your business and take yourself to the next level as a person. I'm Alex.
I'm Owen.
And man, later today in the podcast, we have a gift for you, bro. We have a treat. Today we have Vivian Kaye on the podcast. Vivian Kaye is the CEO and founder of Kinky Curly Yaki, a 7-figure wig company that specializes in hair for Black women. And she also has a amazing personal brand as well. If you're not following her on the gram, you got to. Her Instagram is it's Vivian Kaye. That'll be linked down below. I am excited about this podcast, man. Owen, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. You know, like first, Vivian Kaye, I think everyone's going to love this podcast. Mm-hmm. She's just a dynamo of just like energy. You know, she has a lot to say in regards to business, how she did it and how other people can do it. And I'm excited for people just to learn about the hair business, like how it works, how people actually end up making a lot more money, and especially like, you know, helping Black women look their best, and how, you know, she's empowering women to set their own businesses and just being a force for other women out there, especially Black women, to stay true to themselves. I think that's one thing I really love about Vivian. She's very true to herself. She's very authentic, very genuine. And I think that's what's going to shine through this podcast and what people are going to learn from her.
Most definitely. The dream, you know, in my eyes is to get paid to be your authentic self, you know, instead of having this corporate, hi, my name is Alex and I like to, you know, drink coffee. Hi, how are ya? How are ya?
How are ya? You know, you gotta switch it up all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
You gotta go in and out and be a different person.
Well, I think of like when you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. Because at the same time, like, you're not gonna say my nigga around your grandma. You know, you're not gonna speak to your girl the same way you speak to your boys. It's the same way in business. You know, you gotta respect the room and respect the language that you're being spoken That's being spoken, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of look at it like that. But there's definitely times where, you're at the lunch table and someone's like, oh, what you got there? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And being able to authentically be yourself and be like, oh, this is Aki and Selfish, or this is Fufu. And that those moments, or being able to not even have to answer that and this have that energy where people understand who you are and what it is and don't have to ask about it, I think is like the goal. So yeah, it's beautiful to see someone living their life like that, and the business tips she gives, the strategies she gives, the stories she gives are so valuable and so real.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one thing that's gonna like really permeate through the episode is the real life stories she gives.
Yeah.
you know
I don't want to spill the beans of the whole pod,
yeah.
but she does like show like case like a personal side of, especially with relationships and how that plays into entrepreneurship, So we touched upon it with Candicia, but
Decent.
Vivian, she actually talks more about, I was in a relationship, I'm building a business. This is a big part of like my story and how I got over that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um, because you being an entrepreneur, it's a very lonely road.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lonely road, and finding that companionship and having that companion understand what you're about, what you're doing, and having them know, like, you know what, I'm going to be doing this. I can't spend time with you. I can't do whatever. That's not what she's really talking about, but her issue is bigger. But these are the things that come into it, and I think she showed us like a great side of how that is when you get to that position of having a partner and having a business at the same time.
Most definitely. So I think I'll get a lot of gems from that. But yeah, bro. How you doing, man?
Good, man. It's been a good week so far. Honestly, just every day working on hustle over everything, man. It's a blessing in itself. You feel me?
Yeah,
Overall, I'm doing well, man. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I get to see my friends. My family's good. Like all the things I'm thankful for are the little things in life that you always got to stop, take a pause for the cause, and just acknowledge them.
yeah.
So I'm happy. I woke up this morning. I can hear this streetcar. I'm living in Toronto. I'm waking up to do a podcast. Like that's cool. You get me, bro. So I'm thankful, man. What about you, bruv? How's Alex Witch Thurgood? How's the Thurgood doing, man? Alex
Man, it's
Thur.
been a minute since anybody's called me Thurgood, bro. Yeah, if anybody don't know, my middle name is Thurgood. Named after Thurgood Marshall. If you don't know who Thurgood Marshall is, do your Googles. Go watch the movie with Chadwick Boseman. Man, this week was a tough week for me personally, bro. I was telling you off mic or before we started recording that I burnt out.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
man. What happened? Like, I know the burnout, but you experienced it at another level. And for the audience, this is Alex telling me the story. Like, so you're actually getting it right now. I didn't hear it from this before. So yeah, let's talk through this, bruv.
So yeah, let's start. All right. So basically, this week has been like a very full week. There wasn't time for me to actually take a lot of my personal practices that I usually do. So like I usually like in previous pods I've talked about my routine where I'll get up and go for a walk and get up and work out and stuff like that. And for some reason
Mm-hmm.
this week I didn't. I think probably because of fall, like I wasn't start getting out as much. And like I was just waking up and going straight into work, making a quick breakfast and hopping straight in every time. Bro, that messed me up. I don't think I took like the mental time to like process the day and have time for myself. So I was just work 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, bro, I burnt out. I started getting this like cloud over my head. Like my energy was just like it was like I hadn't had a coffee times 1,000. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like my productivity was super low. My attitude was just like not caring. What else, bro? I wanted to just like get out of there. I was like, yeah, I almost felt like darkish, bro. It was Yeah, well, it wasn't a vibe feeling. So yeah, man, it was tough. So
So when you experience a burnout, how
yeah,
does it feel like when you approach your computer to work?
it feels like that's a great question. It feels like I am walking into okay. It looks like I'm walking into a staircase. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like you know, you want to walk up a staircase, and you're like, all
Or
right,
like when
here
the
comes.
elevators
It's
is
down
down and you gotta
exactly, and
walk up to like the 20th floor.
exactly. That's what it feels like. It feels like
Mm.
you're about to walk up all these steps, and you don't even know like how successful or like if you're gonna get to your floor. You know,
Yeah.
that's what it kind of feels like.
Damn.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
That's what.
treacherous, man.
Yeah, it was a horrible feeling, bro. So I was like, all right, I gotta make sure um I'm doing the car. I didn't realize how dependent I was on those daily tasks. You know, I felt like, oh well, if I don't do it, I'll be fine.
Hmm.
But nah, bro, like it's a necessity for me, is what I'm starting to realize.
Hmm.
So yeah, I didn't go on one walk, it didn't work out. I just maybe took some like an hour for sometimes like trying to watch a quick show to like, um try to escape a bit, but that doesn't really work for me. I don't really escape too easily. Like I'll watch a show and still be like focused on like what in the back of my head I still have like deliverables in my back end, you know. So
Hmm.
yeah, man, it was a hell of a week. So
And how did you overcome it?
shout out to my girl, bro. She made me like get up on the balcony, start stretching, start walking, start putting my head back on,
Hmm.
So yeah, that was kind of like a big thing for me this week. And then even to this morning, I'm like, all right, I gotta go for a walk. I gotta go like out of this, I guess, vibe out, get out my energy as well. One thing that sucked about this virus is I going to the gym is still tough for me. I can't go to the gym as yet. I just booked my first like appointment to go to a gym
Good life?
to lift, yeah. To
Yeah.
actually like weight lift and shit. So I was having all this pent up energy. And it's weird that like working like I guess you could call it like getting out energy, but it's not really because it's like on like a minute task, especially when you're working on your computer. So there's a lot
Hmm.
of energy buildup that's just like fostering, and you don't even know where to go, bro. So not having a way to like get that out was just killing me. So
Hmm.
yeah, man, that's kind of how I was feeling this week.
Yeah, man.
Have you ever had burnout?
I have, man. I've had mental fatigue more than anything. And I think that's what burnout is. It's like you approach your computer to work, you have so much you want to do, but then it's like you can't do it. It's like you're stuck in like a pool that's like of jello, and you're trying to like get like you're trying to think of ideas, you're trying to like, but nothing is processing. It's like you're when you're trying to cycle a bike and just the pedal and the gears are just not moving. It's like So
Mm-hmm.
I remember, especially during sneaker deck days, those are the days I used to like go hard every day because I had work when I was working part time at Good Life, and then I'd have class, and I'd have school projects, and I would have the business to work on sneaker deck. So I'll be after school, I'm with my partners, and then at the time I was in a relationship, in a long term relationship, so I was juggling a lot at once, and then I gotta sleep, I gotta study. It's just everything, man. I was just done. Like I was just like, I can't do this. I can't do it. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So it took me like 2, 3, 4 days to really just get back in the groove of things. But yeah, I've experienced it, bro. And sometimes you don't even know you're experiencing until you actually take a step back and you're like, yo, I'm actually burnt out because it's so built up in your habitual process that you don't even acknowledge it, but you
Yeah.
know something's off.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened to me. I was like, why am I doing it? Like, why am I like my regular deliverables weren't getting done, and I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, how come I'm not getting this shit done?
Like I'm
So
here. Like what's going on? Like I'm here physically, but why is it not getting done?
yeah, exactly. And I started like trying to do the math, started to backtrack and retrace my steps, and I was like, oh shit, am I getting burnt out? YouTube's burnt out, and yeah, man. So I was like, all right. all right, I need to take a step back, try to figure shit out. So yeah, man, that's after my cutoff time today. That's like all I'm trying to do is just trying to like relax, take some time to like refocus myself and get everything sorted out.
And
So
recalibrate.
recalibrate, bro. That's a fact, man. So yeah. So with that said, man, what happened to the business tip?
Let's do it, bruv.
So I actually made it around burning out. So I was like, all right, let me talk about what I'm going through and how I got out of it, and some of the things that I can like, see that's helped other people help the audience as well. So for hustlers, here's 5 tips you can use to get over burnout, or if you feel like you're coming up to a burnout, there's some things you can do to try and make it regress or get back to the normal swing of things. One, and they're all so simple. Sometimes you just take for granted the simple things in life. Is go for a run or a walk. Sometimes you need to like maybe if your park or neighborhood is a bit too cluttered, go for a drive to that specific park or lake shore or wherever that is a beautiful scenery, and just go for a walk around there. Put on like their favorite podcast or a music playlist. For me, I'm loving this. There's 2 playlists. The lo-fi playlist on Spotify, and the chill hop playlist on YouTube. You know
Chilled
them
cow?
ones? Yeah, the
Chilled
chill
cow, right?
cow. The chill cow's dope. There's also like a chill hop playlist, which is like it's almost like chill cow is like a dope lo-fi. Then like chill hop is getting a little bit close to elevator music, and I'm like, all right, it's chill cow. But yeah, that's kind of what I like to do as well. Listen to a podcast, the Joe Budden Pod, Brilliant Idiots. Something to like make you laugh, to read. One of them, stretching is a huge one. Yo, I went to a stretch today, dog. Yo, my waist, the way it's
your hip
acting
flexors,
up.
bruv.
Oh, my hips. My nigga was like, yo, bro, it's been a minute, eh? You never
Corona.
touched me in a minute.
Yeah. These are
So
Corona hips now.
yeah, exactly. They're Corona hips now. That's a fact. Yeah. So another one is getting out your energy. So for me personally, like I can't wait to go work out. I have a lot of pent up energy. I'm about to like get out, whether it be like punching bags or lifting weights, get that energy out. Dancing. That's the top 3 things. Just to recount so far. 1 has been go for a run or walk. 2, stretch. 3 has been weight room / lifting, exerting energy. Let's move right along. So number 4 is origami, and this one's actually like a kind of a sleeper one. Using your hands and just focusing in on one specific thing can be very relaxing and take your mind off of what's going on in the world. And another example of that could be painting, drawing, or even coloring. I remember I used to have a client that was like a coloring book, and yeah, it was very relaxing to just sit down and just color like you're a kid and get that energy out for a quick moment. Earlier today, this is so far from origami, but I was rolling a spliff because I was going to smoke, and I was like, man, I don't even want to smoke. I just wanted to roll.
The fact that you're rolling, it's actually just like a therapeutic thing.
Very therapeutic. Just the roll, and yeah, just to sit down and just, roll up, make the W, make the pape come to life. It's very therapeutic. I didn't even end up smoking. I was like, all right, let me just chill. Well, the reason why I love origami too is because you have something to show after, There isn't really anything to really show once you go for a walk. It's kind of just like, all right, I went for a walk, but you actually can like physically hold up something and be like, all right, I made this. That's one of the real benefits I feel as well, Lastly is just talking, getting it out, getting how you're feeling out. Because a lot of I think the thing of burnout is the pent up energy, the pent up demand of yourself that you don't feel, how you feel building but don't really get out. So some ways of talking, of course, talking to a friend, talking to someone that can relate to you. Also, though, what I found, which is actually super weird, but is vlogging it, but not like posting it, just pulling out your phone and just like either turning on the mic and talking, or turning on your camera to yourself and just like talking, getting it out. or writing it down. I know you like to write shit down. That helps like get out all your energy and how you're feeling at the moment to get out the energy, like I've been saying. So the top 5 is 1, go for a run or a walk. Number 2, stretch. Number 3, weight rooms, lifting, dancing, physical, a lot like heavier physical exercise to get out that energy.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, origami, and number 5 is talking it out. And that wraps up the business tip of the week, giving
Man,
you small little gems.
burnout is real, guys. It's extremely real, man, especially us hustlers. All we know is the grind. All we know is the hustle. It's all we think about. Like when we're not doing anything, it's like, oh man, I should be doing this for the business. But remember, it's okay to take that moment of just peace and tranquility. You need that. Your brain needs it. You need to restabilize yourself because you're actually going to be fresher, fresher when you come back.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, you know what time it is, man. It's Mr. Hustle Muscle on the mic. Owen Osinde here to give you that Hustle Nation tip of the week. And that tip of the week is doing the things that are not sexy. As entrepreneurs, we love doing things that are full of glitz and glamour. And what I mean by glitz and glamour is we are obsessed with the optics of entrepreneurship, of building a cool app or building an amazing D2C brand that's like doing $150 million, 150K a month, and etc. Like all the things that are looking cool, like they're amazing. Or that app that you just built that got press coverage from TechCrunch and you're about to raise $1 million round. You know, these are all like the things that look cool when you read them on these amazing blogs and websites of you're the next up and coming. But the harsh truth of the reality is that that is like 1 out of every 1,000 entrepreneurs on like in the world, right? I mean, the odds are pretty good, but you know, 1 out of your 1,000 who gets that breakout through elevation to, you know, the upper echelon of entrepreneurs who can say, yeah, like, you know, our thing got acquired by whatever, our app got whatever. But the truth is like, it's so hard to duplicate that success for every entrepreneur that people out here are just delusional, that they think that their app can become the next big thing or whatever. Not saying that your app is not good, but to have that level of like you're doing it just to become the next Instagram or whatever, those days are long gone. In a way that it's even harder to make that type of app because now that is the normal way of business. And where I'm going with this is that for people who are looking to start businesses, let's go back to the basics of like the businesses that actually you can start doing it and produce cash flow right away. If you're looking for like a side hustle, especially like, you know, a lot of people here are side hustlers. They have a 9 to 5. They're trying to do something else. Look at things that produce money for you and they're not really sexy. So these are like businesses you can set up around your community. It could be like a service you're providing to someone that you can just charge them right away, that you know that it's needed, and you can go put up an ad and you can actually get service right away. A great example I can think of this is when we had Pierre Laguerre on the podcast. He spoke about he needed money and he's just like, you know what, I'm going to go to different businesses. I'm going to charge them $5 to get their windows cleaned and that's it. So he did that. He went knocking door to door down. Like if you do that, let's say you go down Queen Street West, all the all the shopping that's available there. And you just go to the stores and, hey, listen, I'll come here every other day and I'll clean your windows and you just pay me $5 and I'll charge you a reoccurring charge on my Stripe. Right? And you just go do there, take your bucket of water, squeegee, clean the window, boom, 10 minutes, you're done. Right? Trust me, you're going to make so much money out of that in a week than trying to like wait for your app to blow up or whatever. So guys, remember, there's actually value in doing those things that are not as cool to your friends, or they're not, it's not like AI, you know, it's not like some, AI is a big term, you know, all us entrepreneurs, we use all this jargon just to sound cool and smart that we have like this AI powered thing, whatever. Oh yeah, like it's excuse me, you know, those days are gone. You're not pump faking anyone, man. Just go out there, stick to the business, do 1+1 = 2. Don't try and like confuse things just to sound like a big entrepreneur, or like up and coming, man. I think over the years I've developed like a sense of radar for assessing different entrepreneurs and what they're doing, and I can tell who the wannabes and the gonnabes are gonna who they are. So remember, do the things that are not sexy. Do those things that make money for you outside of work. That you're actually gonna start making money right away. You can follow your passion, but if you really want to get the dough, look at the things that you might not find cool, but they make money. And that's what you're in this business for. You're not in the business to look cool. You're in the business to to make money. So that is a Hustle Nation tip of the week, guys. Take that in, let that marinate over the weekend, over the next couple of weeks, and come up with an idea that can legit help you. So let's get it.
Couldn't agree more. And with that said, let's get into the housekeeping items and straight into the pod. Hey guys, before we hop into the podcast, we have a few housekeeping announcements. For free to support the podcast, if you're on Apple, make sure you rate and write a review about our podcast. This makes a huge difference. On Instagram, make sure to take a screenshot and tag us in the Instagram stories. It makes a huge difference. It helps us share the podcast out and expand the community. On Twitter, we're at 24/7 Hustlers. And on Facebook, we're Hustle Over Everything. Guys, we were busting our ass, especially Owen, working on their weekly newsletter. It's called the 24/7 Hustle. It covers news in business, music, and culture, all through the lens of entrepreneurship. And for our paid options, guys, we have some great merch on the store. Check it out at hustleovereverything.co. And lastly, our Proud to Pay program is linked in the description down below. Now let's hop into the show.
No.
Okay. Oh man. Awesome.
You know what? This is the first time I've done a podcast with black men.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Alex, we're creating our own lane over here, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a fact. How many black entrepreneur platforms are there that are run by black men in Canada?
Vivian will know this because she's out here.
And you out here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The fact that you don't know, that means something.
That means we're on the right track.
Yes,
You know?
absolutely.
Exactly.
Now you got me thinking. It's gonna be one of those moments where I'm in the shower like, oh yeah. Oh wait, no, that's not it. Not him. But
yes, indeed.
yeah.
All right, let's jump right in. Viv, welcome to the show.
I guess we should introduce ourselves too.
Oh yeah, maybe we should do that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
Viv, I am Alex.
Hello,
You know what I'm
Alex.
saying? I'm energetic. I'm happy to have you on the pod. If you can't
Mhm.
already tell, where should I start? One half of the podcast, of course. I have my own agency with media, and I do paid acquisition. That's essentially it. To keep it short and simple. Keep it short and simple.
Cool. Nice to meet you, Alex.
Nice to meet you as well.
And Vivian, my name is Owen Osende, co-host of Hustle Over Everything, entrepreneur my whole life.
Your whole life.
My whole life from ever since I could legit know what being business is. I've been doing door to door, selling t-shirts on door to door. What else did I do? Mowing lawns door to door at my parents' house. So I've just known the grind, knowing
Right.
1+1 = 2 and trying to make a profit. So yeah. Start Hustle Over Everything with Alex. We've been joining forces over the past 6 months. I originally started the podcast before, but I was like, man, Alex and I will make a proper duo. And it's been a very happy marriage ever since. And now we're just building up this platform, interviewing great entrepreneurs like you.
Okay. Well, I love to see it. It's really freaking me out that this is the first time I'm being interviewed by black men, which is interesting.
Talk to us about that. How come, why don't you think there's other black men interviewing you? What do you think? Do you think they're out there?
Oh, they're out there. They are out there. But do they, I think it's more of a man thing.
Mm.
That's something we probably really need to get into. But I think it's maybe they're intimidated.
Mm.
Maybe. I don't know. Like I don't really do a lot of men, period.
Yeah.
But you would think black men I would do a lot more of.
That's hilarious. That was a good one. Oh,
Pun
man.
intended.
You know what I'm saying? Clip. Nah. Where should we start, man? Actually, I think you know what it is one is the marketing, and two, you're a lot in the circles of a lot of the woman entrepreneur circles, like Being Boss, the wellness podcast. You're on like a lot of you're with John Gamble a lot, so you're in a lot of those women circles, so maybe that's why. And all the guys trying to like go towards like the in your leisure type of guy and that kind of circle. So.
I think that's what it is. It's because I preach more of like a female empowerment type of thing, but really it's just empowerment, period. But I think it's because men just have their own set of issues that I'm not a man, so I can't really relate, but I can relate to being a black person, right? We can relate to being black people. So I guess that's what it is. I'm probably sure I'm gonna sleep. I'm gonna be in my bed like,
that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly too, there isn't that much black male podcast shows. Like the other day I was on LinkedIn and just typed in podcasts and let me network with more black podcasts out there, and the only one that came across was Alicia West from Extra Gravy. Shout out to Extra Gravy, but that was it. Marlon wasn't even on there, and he's like a huge podcast in the city. So I think it's Marlon Palmer. He has like a podcast called Extra Gravy, which is pretty dope, but it's not just
okay.
Yeah, but that in terms of entrepreneurship pods, there's maybe like 7-10 max in America that I know of, so yeah, it's a pretty slim, which is a good thing for us, more territory.
I don't know why it's bothering me. It's
bothering you, eh?
Yeah, like it's a little warm in my ear now. Yeah, it's bothering me.
A few things. There's a corny factor that goes into it. A lot of guys, I think, still think it might be a little bit corny,
and not talking about like comedy, entertainment, all that stuff. Like it's like we're talking about business and entrepreneurship. There's like few of those type of pods, So I think we need to get more, black men and like
I'm all for it. I am all for it.
Agreed. And we're going to touch on that later because I have something to, circle and tie everything back in. Right. But to start everything off, firstly, Viv, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to start with the icebreaker.
Okay.
You have an in-person meeting with a potential client, a white lady, and the meeting goes great. As you walk her out, she says, and you know what? I need to tell you this. I absolutely love your hair, and proceeds to put her hand in your hair. What do you do? And this is for all of us, by the way. This is a conversation.
I first of all, I'm paying attention. So I see that she's about to reach for my hair and I step back and I say, yes, you can look, but not touch.
And what you doing, man?
I mean, I grew up in a town where I was there's a handful of black kids in the school. So my hair was always a fascination to other people. So whenever I got a cut, they'd be like, yo, man, can I touch your hair and whatever? When I was younger, I used to be like, yeah, sure. But as I got older, I'm like, yo, don't kind of you master the juke step. You can be you see the hand coming and you just dodge it real quick. Your reflex is coming, Yeah. So I think it's happened so much that I'm just kind of yo, don't do it. I don't get angry as I was before. I'm just kind of this is just part of their curiosity that I'm yeah, just don't do it, man. That's not cool.
I would school her too. School them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. For me, I've become actually my whole body at this point. Because at one point I used to be hair and then you learn to dodge, but I realized that with a lot of women, they'll do the arm as well, or a little shoulder,
a stiff arm.
No, not that.
It's
They do the
the caress.
How you do it?
Yeah, I am not a piece of meat.
What was that exactly? So at first I used to play it off and just be like, that's gonna cost you. And, you know what I'm saying? To try and be somewhat flirty, but avoidant type of thing. But I'm just don't touch me.
You're straight up like that. You're like, yo, don't do that.
Yeah, I remember I've did it to a few people now, and they're like, oh, like mood kill, but
you're like,
yeah,
you stand your ground, man.
It is what it is. Exactly. So, man, getting into the Vivian story,
Vivian Kaye, she's actually here. Thank you again for being here, Viv. Appreciate it.
No, you're absolutely welcome.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning of the entrepreneurial launch. Pardon me. Would that, correct me if I'm wrong, would that be starting at you being let go, quote unquote, from your corporate job?
No. So I side hustled before that.
Okay.
So,
let us know.
No. So I started, my first business was a wedding decoration business. Mm-hmm. And I started that because I'm one of 4 girls. Mm-hmm. I'm the second oldest, and my older sister was getting married. And she hired a decorator from Toronto. So I'm out here in Hamilton. Shout out the Hammer to people. If you don't know where we are, it's on our way out to Niagara Falls. Mm-hmm. So she hired a decorator from Toronto who said she'd do her decor for $1,000. And then she paid her the money. She was fine. 2 weeks before the wedding, decorator comes back and says, I need another $1,000 for no particular reason. She just decided she needed another $1,000. My sister didn't have that kind of money, 2 weeks before the wedding, and we had to hire someone else to do it on the cheap. And they did a craptastic job. And I thought to myself, why aren't there any, and this was a person, I'm from Ghana. So this decorator is from Ghana. And I thought, why aren't there any Ghanaian decorators who spell out exactly what it is that they're going to give you? And this is the price, period. So my goal was to service my community as a wedding decorator and have everything spelled out. Well, I quickly discovered that serving that very specific group of people was not going over very well. Because, as Black people, period, we like to negotiate, we like to this, we like to that, and Ghanaians even more so. It's like, oh, sister, so-and-so said they do for 500. Can you do for 3? No, my price is 700. Oh, sister, I beg. No, it's 700. White people don't argue with me. Why are you arguing with me?
Exactly.
So, so that was the start of the side hustle. That was Vivian's Decor. And of course, I branched out into doing everyone's weddings, but I started out in my own community and then branched out into doing everyone's weddings. And I built that into a 6-figure business that I've pretty much figured out from a side hustle. Like I figured it out as I was going along. Mm-hmm. And that was the beginning of my entrepreneur journey. Like it wasn't anything that I'd learned how to do. I'm a college dropout. When I was your guys' age, nobody told me that being an entrepreneur was sexy. It was for people who couldn't get jobs, right? So, if you're from Africa or the Caribbean, you know that typically when people are entrepreneurs, they're doing it out of necessity and not necessarily out of choice. Oh, I have a successful 9-to-5 and now this is what I want to do. No, you're doing it because you need to feed your children. Right? You're selling goods, women. My first experience with entrepreneurship was being on my mother's back in the markets of Accra. Right. So, and that was out of necessity. So being an entrepreneur wasn't sexy for me. It was just something I sort of stumbled into. And it started with a side hustle.
Yeah.
My grandma used to do that, actually.
I was going to say as well, from being from Kenya, Vivian, I grew up like from when I was young to 10 years old, and education is paramount. If you don't have a master's, you have your degree. Like a degree is just okay, but you need like masters and everything and everything. Mm-hmm. So when I told my parents too, I want to be an entrepreneur, that's the way they saw it because they didn't see it any other way.
Because they didn't bring you here for that.
Exactly. Like
you could have stayed home for that.
Yeah, you're gonna go be a doctor, engineer, lawyer. What's this entrepreneur stuff? Like it doesn't take an education to do that. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
So I'm curious, what was that transition point where you said you opened up to everybody else? Did you specifically go and like talk to people, or was it like a marketing thing where you had like an email blast? How did you make that quick move?
No, this was back in 2000. 2006 or 2007. So email wasn't really a thing, especially for, you know, for just the common person. No, it's just word of mouth. I built it through word of mouth. I built it through doing live events, like going to like wedding expos, you know, that type of thing. And I just sort of grew my business from there. But what I started to see was, you know, my community didn't quite appreciate me. They didn't appreciate my white people way of doing business. So, so then I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go where people are paying me. And that was everybody else. Right. Or at least people who understood, business.
Yeah. Got you. So now you're in your corporate job and working on this wedding business, right? How long were you there, and like, how did that relationship end?
I was on that job for about 5 years, and I was hired by someone who had a very similar background to me. So he was someone who grew up in Hamilton. He started off working as an usher in the movie theaters and worked his way up to, you know, like a director VP position within Cineplex. And he also was a high school, like he didn't have a college education. So he understood the whole hustle. He gave me a chance. So he hired me on as a marketing coordinator, and I worked for a company that was, that supported franchisees. So I was in the entrepreneur space, but even then the jobs that I had before that were all sort of intrapreneurial, where I worked for startups, and I just sort of had to, you know, make stuff up on the fly and figure stuff out as I was going along, because I was generally either the only person in that department, or I was the only person that did what I did. So back to the job, my last job, which is interestingly enough a decade ago. So I haven't had a job in a decade, a 9-to-5 in a decade. Yeah. Yeah. And so what happened was he hired me on, and everything was going fantastically. And then he got lured back to Cineplex to go be a VP, like a Tapa's VP type thing. Hey. And so then they replaced him with a more corporate soldier. So a guy that used to work for Sears. So, you know, so yeah, you guys are making up your face. So you like, it's just like a Sears guy who wanted everything by the book, like, you know, A, B, and C. And I was like, well, let's do H and see what happens. He'd be like, no, we need to do A, B, C. And I'm like, yeah, but J looks like it could go on. Like, why can't we do that? He's like, nope, A, B, C. And of course our values didn't really align. Yeah. He was more interested in being very structured, whereas I was like, let's throw some spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
I was going to say, were you working on your side hustle, like even during your job?
Absolutely.
And like, how did that change when you got a different boss coming in?
Well, yeah. So then my other boss, I don't want to say he supported my side hustle, but he definitely didn't discourage me. And so same thing. So when this guy came in, he was not having it. Like, you know, I would work on my website, you know, I would reply to emails. This was before, you know, when data was expensive on your phone. So you had to do it on the computer. So my new boss did not like that at all. And in fact, the day that he let me go, he was like, oh, but you'll be okay. You have your business. And I was like, yeah, okay, buddy, I'll be okay. I'll show you. Lo and behold, here I am 10 years later.
10 years later. It was a blessing in disguise.
Absolutely. Yeah. Did I see it like that at the time? Nah. Because it was the first time I'd lost my job. And I didn't know what to do. And I was just like, you know what? I don't have, you know, at the time, I don't have any real things. Like, it's not like I had a house and I had huge bills and I have kids and I need to support them. It was just me living in an apartment in Mississauga. So I was like, you know what, let me just go for it. So I went for it.
One thing you said that's a big part of your story is like your college dropout. You know, what happened? What made you drop out of school? What were the circumstances that led you to leaving school?
I got depressed. Short story. I got depressed. And it was not, I just didn't fit in. Like, I didn't feel like I fit in. Like, I was never a great student. Even through high school, I won an award called the Change Your Future Award. And, you know, all my friends were getting their English awards, their, you know, science awards and all that. And I got this one award. And when I look back at it now, I feel like this is the award you give to people who, you know, they're going to do something, but you're not quite sure what it is. And so then, so that's what I won. And so then I thought I had to be like everyone else. I had to fit into this box. You know, my parents brought me to this country to get a higher education. All my sisters completed their college degrees. I need to do the same thing. Nah, it was not for me. I went to school. I went to York to study anthropology. And I struggled through it. And then I tried again at U of T through like a continuing, like a bridging type program. Yeah. Again, didn't like it. Yeah. And again, it just wasn't it just wasn't for me. And you know, and that's a thing that I feel like schools need to do a better job at is they really need to really care about the kids and look at what the kids are good at and push them in that direction. Like had someone told me when I was 16 or 15 or 17 that, you know what, this is what you seem to be good at. This is the area that you need to go in. Instead, they're trying to push everybody into, you know, one direction at the time, right? Which was, you know, maths and sciences and all that, but I wasn't good at that stuff. And I wish they had sort of took me aside and said, this is what you're good at. This is where you should go. Why don't you give these a try? But instead, I felt like I had to keep up. And it doesn't help that, you know, being an immigrant, you feel like you have to go to school. You have to get a degree. You have to get your master's. Whereas it just wasn't for me. So yeah, that's what that
one
looks
size
like.
Fits all. Like they want you to fit into every fit in this box. Exactly.
Well, what I keep saying is, you know what? Everyone kept trying to put me into this square, but I am a parallelogram. And you know what a parallelogram is? It's a square that's sort of on an angle.
Yeah.
It's like two triangles, like the other one's like this and the other
it's literally
it's like a box like this.
It's just sideways.
Yeah.
So I'm a parallelogram. I cannot fit into that square.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I know this now, but I didn't know that then.
Yeah. I had the exact same experience, man. I never did great in school. And I was always showcasing like different talents and no one was ever picking it up. Like,
on it. Yeah.
Like a real quick, before we get back to your story, in grade 9, me and my boy, I ended up going to boarding school to get away from my neighborhood. And we were in our dorm room and we were bored as hell. And we're both creators. My guy right now is a beat maker and he's living a digital nomad life somewhere in South America because he's just that creative mind, right? And like I'm creating right now. So we were there like pulling our like hair, like how can we do something? So we create like a prank video of like someone jerking off a basketball because I had a pump in the basketball. I don't know if you remember that, but yeah. Which was like hilarious, but it was dumb at the time, right? And us
that would do views today.
Exactly, right?
That would
hold on. So let me get there. So we make this video and put it on YouTube in 2008. But our dumbasses, because we're in grade 9, think, yo, let's write our actual address on YouTube. So we put like Kingsway College, which is like the school, the room number XYZ. Yeah. So of course the teacher's gonna wind of this. And instead of them actually looking at it and being like, oh, they're actually creating videos, they have a knack for this. They're organically creating. Let's suspend them, you know? Which looking back, I was like, damn, if they had been like, hey, you're creating videos, go create 10 more videos. That's your punishment. Mm-hmm. You know, that could have set us on a whole different path. I mean, I still ended up here. I'm still creating a video right now. But
it could have been shorter. Your path could have been shorter.
Exactly. And that's the kind of thing that I find schools do. Because schools is based off manufacturing, right? Mm-hmm. It's meant to go from X to Z to be right into an employee role. So like it's the system working is what it is. Yep. So now with this wedding business, right? Mm-hmm. You're working on it at work and working and just get let go, right? Now you have yourself, you almost put into a corner, you know, back against the wall. Talk to us about those moves.
Well, I knew I had this side hustle that was doing well. And I thought, you know what, and I was doing it half-assed, right? Because I had a full-time job and I was just sort of doing whatever it did to buy Coach bags and go on vacation. Hey. And I thought, well, wow, what if I put my full ass into it? Like what if I really, really do it? What could it do? So then at first I sort of struggled because it's not like I had examples of other entrepreneurs around me that I could be like, okay, I'll be okay. And it's not like anyone encouraged me to just go full time. It was like, no, you need to find a job. You need to find a job. You need to find a job. Be steady, right? And stable. And I took on like a contract position where, again, I worked for entrepreneurs. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. I just need to just do it. And so I just did it. I'm one of those people who sort of jump off cliffs and then figure out the parachute on my way down. So that's what I did. I didn't have anything to lose. And at least if I failed, I knew that at least I tried. And so that's really what my goal was, to at least say that I tried to do it. And I didn't do well. Okay. I didn't do well. But again, here I am 10 years later, still doing it.
One of the things I heard in Fuck Up Nights TO when you're talking about it is like you kept saying I made it up along the way. You kind of talk about that. What is making it up all the way? Is it that you don't have a plan, or is it just you're kind of like this thinking and you go with it? What does that mean to you?
It's not that I don't have a plan. It's that I have a goal, but I'm not tied to the plan. Like I'm not tied to how I get there. Mm-hmm. So all I know is, I just need to make a living in order to support myself. What does that look like? Okay, well, let me look at what I like to do, because if I'm going to do this, I might as well enjoy what I'm doing. And so then I've never been a person that's been like A, B, C, and D. I've always like, here's the alphabet. What jumps out at me? Okay, you know what? G looks good. Let's give G a try and see if that works. Okay, so I need to learn a little bit more about G. Let me Google. Let me ask some people. Let me look at other businesses and how they're doing it. Like even with my wedding business, I knew nothing about decor. I knew I liked decor because while I was working for that franchise company, we worked with real estate agents a lot. And this was at the time, this was back in, again, 2006, 2007, when home staging really started to become a thing. And at first I thought I wanted to become a home stager, but then I didn't like real estate agents. So then, I didn't like the salesy, like I didn't like that. I remember my mom was even pushing me to become a real estate agent. I was like, no, I don't really particularly enjoy that or like it. But I like decor. So then even with that, what I did was I didn't know how to do anything, but I knew a company that rented out inventory. Like they would rent out chair covers and all that. And they also happened to do setups like backdrops and all that type of stuff. So then I knew I was good with customer service and serving people and doing that thing. So what I did was I would meet with brides and I would charm them into a package that I totally made up based off of what I saw other wedding decorators doing. And they would book me, give me a deposit. Okay, cool. I would take that deposit and go and hire the rental company to do the job. And then I would go on the job with them and I would watch what they would do. And then, I'm one of those people who observe and I just sort of figure stuff out. And then I get another job. I would do exactly what they did, except do it my way. And then that's how I do it. So I learn as I do. So I'm a doer. Like I'm not one of those people who just sit down and study based off theory. No, I have to do it in order to learn my lesson, in order to learn.
Yeah.
So that's how I did it.
Got you.
And that's how I do everything. Like I'll people are like, oh, do you have mentors? Do you have this? Do you have that? I'm like, no, I don't. I learn by doing.
Yeah. Then you look at what you're doing, like, all right, that worked. That didn't work. Let's learn from what worked and keep doing more of that.
Yep.
Got you. Yeah. I'm the same type of way. Also in Fuck Up Nights, one thing, and shout out to Marsha, by the way, the CEO of Fuck Up Nights. That was episode 33. You mentioned that, one of their biggest fuck ups was being with your ex at the time, right?
Yep.
Could you break that down for the audience and what happened and lessons learned from that?
So let's start with the business. So the business that I had with my ex is Kinky Curlyaki, which is premium textured hair extensions for Black women. It's a business that I started out of a need from when I was a wedding decorator. So I needed hair that looked quote unquote presentable. And I wanted something that looked like my hair and looked authentic on me. So I was looking to solve my own problem. And while I was trying to solve that own problem, I created a business from it, which by the way, if you are starting a business, start with a problem, solve a problem. Don't just start a business for the sake of starting a business. Like if you're going to start a t-shirt business, guy, like make sure you actually have a reason for starting this t-shirt business. Don't create a t-shirt business just because you think it's something you should do. Why are you doing it? Who are you serving? What problem are you solving with this t-shirt? Right. Anyways, so it was a business that I started, and while I started the business, a year after I started the business, I got pregnant. And so I started this business, got pregnant. By the time I had my son, which was in March of 2014, it was a 6-figure business. And so then, so now I had this baby, I had this booming business, and my son's father was like, hey, you know, we have a baby, you got a business I could help you out with, ooh, baby, ooh, let's go half on a business and a baby. So I was like, okay, cool. Like what woman would say no to that? Right. I should have said no. So then, this was me. I was doing everything for the business, shipping, customer service, doing all that. And I'd given him a percentage of the business in order to not only help me run the business, but to also keep my family together. But it turns out he had other plans. And then I would say maybe 6 months after, I'd signed the dotted line to give him 40% of my business, he bounced. And, I dealt with that. Like I let him stay in the business because I was still trying to keep my family together. And then one day in 2016, like in June of 2016, I just woke up and said I was done. So I had my son in 2014, March of 2014, February 2015, we signed an agreement. I gave him 40% of my business. And then by I want to say September of 2015, he bounced, and then tried to eat his cake, have his cake and eat it too. And then by June of 2016, I said I'd had enough. I was done, and I fired him from the company. And then we went to court for we had court battle for about a year, and then I finally in August of 2017 got full control over my business. Now, during that time, by December of 2016, I know that it's a lot of dates all over the place, but by 2016, I'd hit my first $1 million in sales. Wow. So I had to get my business back because I had this business that was growing, but I couldn't get access to capital or funding because his name was tied to the business, right? So I had to get his name off my business in order to grow the business. So do I recommend working with your significant other? No, I do not, especially if it's a business that you started. But can they play a part in it? Absolutely. Pay them accordingly, but don't give them a percentage. But that's just, and again, it's my experience, but you really need to vet who you let into your business, because I wouldn't mix business with pleasure ever again. Never. Yeah. If he wants to be supportive and he wants to, be at the sidelines and saying, go Viv, or I want to bounce ideas off of him. Absolutely. But will I ever give anyone a percentage of my business again? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I hear that. Man, I'm sorry I have to go through that.
You know what? Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. He's crying now. It made me stronger. Eating. It made me stronger. It made me persevere. It pushed me to do things that I would have probably never done. Right? So don't be sorry. I'm not sorry. I don't regret it. But, it is what it is.
I hear that. So I don't want to skip over. I feel like there's a lot of things we skipped over in that little bit. Okay. So let me take a 2-step back. All right. So you launched Kinky Curly Yaki, and you briefly explained it, but I want to get a nice highlight for the audience one more time. Basically, it's wigs and weaves for women of color. Correct?
Black women.
Black women. Yes.
No women of color. It's black women.
Black women specifically. Mm-hmm. Yes. And the problem we're solving is fitting in. Keep correcting me. Let's...
Okay. Yeah. So what it is that, our hair is not suited to this North American environment. So, our hair needs to be moisturized constantly. And so then we tend to wear protective styles, being wigs, braids, weaves. And so then, and then we also have this issue with society that thinks that we're not beautiful, that our hair isn't beautiful the way it grows out of our heads. And so back in 2012, this is back in 2011, at the time, there were a lot more women jumping on YouTube, creating videos, teaching us how to care for our hair, because our mothers were just like, oh, just, put Vaseline on it and go, right? Or relax it and go. But we got tired of doing that shit. So we wanted to learn how to take care of our hair. And with that happening, a lot of us started to wear more protective styles. However, I found that I didn't want to wear the silky Indian hair because it didn't blend or match with my 4C nap, like my really kinky nappy texture. And so then I was looking for hair that looked like my hair. I knew it existed, but when I did find it, it was buried underneath the silkier Malaysian, Brazilian, all those exotic textures. And I thought at the time, why isn't anyone just focused on just kinky hair? And so then, but my decor business was doing really well. I had already, thought I risked it all to start this business. It was doing well. Let me not disrupt and do something else. But, it just sort of kept nagging at me, and I just sort of filed it in the back of my head. Then I went to a networking event, and a Black woman pulled me aside while I was wearing the texture. I was wearing a sew-in, and she asked me who my hairdresser was and what my regimen was for wearing for my hair to look the way it does. And I was like, girl, this is a weave. And so that's the highest compliment that another Black woman can pay you, that she didn't realize that you were wearing a weave. Mm-hmm. So when I explained to her that I was a weave, she said, well, I would buy that. And I thought, well, I bought it. She would buy it. So there's got to be at least a dozen other women who would buy it too. So in the down season of Vivian's Decor, my wedding business, I launched Kinky Curly Yaki in December of 2012, and it immediately took off. Immediately. Like in the first year, I did just under 500,000 US in sales.
Wow. Talk about that immediacy.
Yeah.
So was it, I know one thing you mentioned in previous interviews was that you were in Facebook groups, and them Facebook groups, I've been in them for other clients, and the Facebook groups be popping. Mm-hmm. But was that, I guess, the conduit for the audience that you kept serving?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, gotcha. So I was in the Black hair care forums because, again, I was trying to solve my own problem. Mm-hmm. So I'd already sort of created a personality for myself there. And then when the forums moved over to Facebook groups, again, I did the same thing there. However, when I launched the business, I didn't tell anyone it was my business. So really what I did was, because I was trying to solve my own problem, I knew what to say, because I'm getting high on my own supply. So I know exactly what to say to my target audience, because I am the target audience. Yeah. And so then in all the marketing that I did back then, I didn't know it was marketing. It was just stuff I was saying. I knew what to say to them. And so they were buying it. And then they would, they would post, oh, look at this new company. This is the textures they sell. This hair is bomb. And, at the time I washed the hair. So they would get the hair, because what was happening a lot was that they would order, these kinkier textures. They would get it, but it didn't look like the picture. Mm-hmm. So then what I decided to do to differentiate by washing the hair and then sending it to them, so that it looked exactly what it looked like when they thought, it looked exactly like what they thought they were buying. And so then it wasn't until I purposely was not telling people it was me. I was just sort of observing everything people were saying and just being quiet about it. Because at the time, personal branding wasn't a thing either. It was just, here's my product, buy it. Like, oh, right? And so then I got outed in a Facebook group. So what happened is I forgot to put the privacy on my who is, and someone decided to create a fake profile and then went into the Facebook groups and outed me, saying the person who owns this company is Vivian. She's been in here, spying and this and that and that and that and that. And what this person meant for evil was actually for my benefit, because when people found out that it was my company, they were like, oh, well, all the more reason to support it. Because now they know this is just someone who's just like us, a Black woman who, who started a thing. And, at the time, there weren't a lot of Black women who owned hair extension brands. Yeah. So, a lot of them are owned by Chinese, and then they get Koreans. Black women to front. Yep. Same thing, beauty supply stores, Koreans. With hair extension companies, it's usually Chinese with Black girl fronts. So here I was, a Black woman who actually owned the business and understood the problems that we needed to solve, and understood the tone and the language that I needed to use. So yeah.
what was your process in getting your product to your customer? Like, what's the supply chain process of building up your business?
Yeah. So this was fresh. This was before Alibaba was a thing. So I was dealing directly with factories. So first what I did was I found all these email addresses to all these different factories. I would email them. I would get quotes. I would ask them to send me hair. If I found something that I liked, then I would use a different email address and ask them for the exact same thing. So this is how I did my QA. I would use a different email address and ask them for the exact same thing to see if I would get the same quality. Mm-hmm. And I kept doing that until I found that there was someone that was being really consistent in what they were providing me. And then, once I found that they were doing that, then I asked them to tweak this and tweak that and make it smaller and make it this and make it that. And they were able to do that. And then from there, I literally just, like, you see this Rubbermaid bin right here?
Yeah.
This isn't the exact one. I have it at home, but this bin is how I started my business. Wow. I started with 5 textures and I only carried 3 lengths. So 14, 16, and 18. Mm-hmm. And I had like one of each one in each of the bins, and someone would buy 2 and then I would take that money and buy 4. And that's how I slowly built up that business until right now I'm sitting in a 1,000 square foot office / warehouse running a business that, that makes over $1 million a year US.
Got you. So there's a lot of gems in there, a lot of big gems.
This is where we want to drop the value.
Gem dropper.
Exactly. Audience, you got to pick these up. So a few that I caught, and maybe I have to go back, is 1, know your audience.
Yep.
Solve a problem.
Yep.
Don't be a vitamin, be a painkiller.
I like that one. That's a good one. Yeah, don't be a vitamin, be a painkiller. Yep.
So then when it comes to the product, be very careful of how you order it and have your research and design seamless.
Yep. Do QA. Listen, I know there's a lot of people who are doing drop shipping right now.
What does QA stand for?
Huh?
Quality
assurance. Yeah. Sorry, listen, I have 0 ego. I'm going to ask all the dumb questions.
Ask the questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question.
So quality assurance. Man, anything I missed for the audience is before you move on? Oh, when you catch anything, you got to give them the gems.
I love the way you saw the difference between what other people were doing and you'd actually wash it to like actually make it the way you want it to look. Differentiate like your core competency. It's like taking the next step that your competitors are not doing to really serve the customer. So I think a gem the audience can take is like, if you're doing something, take it a step further that's actually more customized to make them look and they know what they're getting from you. So if that's 100% completing their needs and solving their problem. Like
what 90%. It is that you can't be afraid of competition. What you need to do is you need to look at your competition and look at the gaps. What are they not doing? What are their customers complaining about? And then you turn around and do exactly that. So that was the big complaint, that people were receiving curly hair and it didn't look like the picture. So how can I solve that? I can solve it by washing it. But was it scalable? Absolutely not. But I did it till I couldn't do it no more. And I built up a reputation based on, I said I would do what I say I did. I did what I say I would do. Yeah. Right? And that's important in business, right? So you use those key differentiators to get your foot in the door and build a reputation for yourself. Because if you're going to be making t-shirts, you better be doing something fan-fucking-tastic, because you got to differentiate yourself from all the hundreds of other people who are selling t-shirts.
100%. One thing as well I thought that was genius is the fact that you had very small batches, and you said you got 2 and then invested in about 4. I was in fashion for a bit, and with menswear, the game in suits is the sample, right? Mm-hmm. When you go there, you make you touch the sample and you can feel it, and then they take your measurements and then you order it. Same kind of concept in a sort of a way, because you're having the small batch, and then before you do that, you have the customer who actually ready to buy. Then you start making the order itself, right. So ordering that small batch is a big gem as well.
Yeah, you don't need to go big or go home.
Yeah,
just start off small. There's no shame in that.
Exactly. You don't need to create the whole suit.
Create one, perfect one, and tweak.
Most definitely. So that was interesting. So now, aside from the product, what else were you doing to grow the business and keep those customers coming back? aside
I
from
was actually providing customer service. So I made my customers feel like they were supporting a real business. So I would do things like I would handwrite a thank you note on their packing slip. I would, this was at the time when user generated content wasn't as prevalent as it is today. So they would send me pictures. This is back when Instagram had those terrible filters, and so people would send me pictures, in the stylist chair with their hair done. And I would repost that, real people, right? Not models. I always used real people. And so I always made them feel like they were supporting their girlfriend. Right. I would go above and beyond for customer service because we Black women we're used to being treated like shit at the beauty supply store. So I wanted to be different. I wanted them to feel like I really valued their support.
Yeah, man, you're such a real point in the beauty supply store, man. Even going in as a Black male looking for do-rags, you go in there, they're looking at you like you're stealing.
Yep.
They slide into the other aisle, end of the aisle, so they can, how the cashier is one big ass aisle, right?
Yep.
So they slide to the end of the aisle to just happen to be working on something right as they be looking at you. It's the most like unethical thing. Like how did this happen? Like how did they just dominate this market and then not let anybody else in? Because I also hear about women who start these lines and start beauty supply stores, and then they get cut out of like their inventory, and because they're not letting anybody in. Have you heard about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They dominate the supply chain, right? And it's hard to break into because they buy in quantity, right? They have banks set up specifically to help Korean business supplies, Korean beauty supply businesses, right?
Really?
In the States. Oh yeah, in the States, yeah. Yeah, like they have like it's a whole thing. It's hard to break into, right?
Uh-huh.
So you think like there's a lot of Black women who want to get into business, but it's just like there's like a barrier that's like so hard for them to get over because of this
group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because on the outside, it's easy to say, why are we not owning our own lane?
There's
why are we not doing our own thing?
it.
There's a reason. Yeah. And I knew like, we're not just going to sit there and let them sell our products. So this is like, oh, that's a great insight.
Oh, yeah. It's a whole other show.
Honestly, that sounds like a class action lawsuit, yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it's a whole other story. One thing I want to get into, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you still work on it, but I think you have it pretty down pat, is balance.
There's no such thing as balance.
No?
No, there's no such thing as balance.
Really? All right.
No.
So how do you attempt, I guess, to try and stay balanced with like your career, your business, and, raising your son and family life and all that?
Well, there's some like why I say there's no such thing as balance is because something's got to give. Like there's going to be different priorities over different stages of your life. And now, not to say that there's a point in time where my business took priority over my son. No, obviously, my son always takes priority. Like say over this period right now, COVID, right? At the beginning, like for the first 2 months or so, I spent a lot of time just trying to get him right. Because now not only am I his mother, I'm his teacher now. And we're 24/7 with each other. And he's feeling a ways because he can't see his friends and he's not going to school. And so I had to focus more on that. So I had to put business on the back burner. Right. So you can have it all. You just can't have it all at the same time. So you just got to pick and choose what you need to focus on for that particular moment and focus on that. And then your priorities will just shift accordingly. Right. For women, it's a little bit different because, we're naturally, or, we've been designated as the caregiver. So we tend to have to focus more on our families. Right. Like I wish I could be a dude where it's like I can just get up and go to work and not think about my kids, but I have to think about my kid. Right. And on top of the fact that I'm a single mother. Right. But no, there's no such thing as balance. So, these last couple of months I focused on my kid. Now that he's okay and we're all about to go back to school and everything, now I can go back and shift my focus back onto business. right?
Yeah. It's tough, man.
It's not easy. It's not easy at all. Would I do it again? No, I wouldn't do it this way. Do I regret it? No. But it's helped build me into the person that I am today.
Yeah, most definitely. One thing I'm curious about, switching gears a little bit, is, one thing to talk about in detail is branding, right? If you had received a 7-figure grant and thought, I'm going to inject this into my business, would you focus on your personal business or personal branding, or your business's brand? I'm curious to know your opinion there.
I would focus on my business's brand because that takes a lot more capital to grow. Like, let's just say I would use that 7 figures to, invest in inventory, invest in, packaging, invest in personnel. That's what I would take that money to do. My personal brand is who I am. So I live and breathe it. So it's not something that I have to spend money on. It's more time than it is money. So I would say I would focus more on the business.
You feel like your personal brand has grown as a factor of you investing in your business?
Yes, absolutely. Because when you invest in your business, I may not have the funds, but I have the time and I have the energy, right? And people see that. And that helps to grow your personal brand because they see you're making investments in your business.
One story that you spoke about at the Fuck Up Nights TO was the photo shoot you did for your models and how like this was like a big, fuck up for you. Share that story with the audience and what led to that.
Well, I had hired a company to create my brand, to help redesign my brand. Because I started off with my own branding, like I created my own logo and all that stuff. And then once I started to make some money, I said, let me invest in, creating an actual real brand that people can recognize. And so they did such a great job at that. I was like, well, you know what? I need to do a photo shoot for a new website. Why don't I just hire them to do it and let them take care of it? Because they, they understood my vision for the brand. They'll pull it off for photography. Well, I was a little too hands off with that. So, I get to the photo shoot and it was done in New York. I get to the photo shoot and it was chill. Like they were playing like Frank Ocean and like, it was just a little too chill for me. And at first I was like, okay, well, it's okay. I'd sunk in already 10,000 US into this photo shoot. So, let me just leave it the way it is and let it do what it do. About 2 hours in, I was not getting what I wanted from the models. Even the photographer was being a bit of a jerk. I just was not feeling him. And I decided to change the music and start to give more direction. And so then there was a point there was a point in that day where I was just like, I don't like this. I decided to speak up. I couldn't just sit back and watch it anymore. I was like, I don't like this. I really don't. And it's like, okay, you know what? Cool. And, we stopped the shoot at that time because we'd had enough, like we had enough footage or, whatever we needed to capture. And then when they came back with the edits, I saw the pictures and I was like, no, I don't like these at all. Like, I don't like this. Okay, cool. But we still have video. So we had video. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll wait for the video to come back. I was trying to save it. And when the video came back, I hated it. I was like, absolutely not. This is not what I worked this hard to do. This is not how I want my brand to be represented. Absolutely not. And I scrapped it. So I'd spent 10,000 US and scrapped it. Spent another $12,000 to fix it. But this time I made sure to give my input and to actually, to pick the models and got a different photographer and got a different set manager. Like all I did it, I had more input into it because what I realized was that people don't necessarily see what you see. And if you don't communicate that, they won't pull it off. Right. So they don't see your vision. Not everybody sees your vision. So it's always important to work with people who understand and see your vision and make sure that they show it to you. So even if I'm working with a guy that's going to do my Facebook ads, I'm like, show me a Facebook ad that you produce for me. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to see what you think my business is about. And if they show me something I can work with, then cool, let's go. But if you show me some picture of some, some girl with chaka chaka hair from a stock photo that doesn't make any sense, then no, I'm not going to work with you because you don't understand what I'm trying to do here. So that was a lesson learned. Don't worry about sunk costs. You have to really, if you really want to be building up a brand that resonates with your audience, you have to put your full 100% vision into it and make sure it gets executed the way you want it to be.
And what was that vision that was misaligned from the first shot they did to the second version that you finally were extremely happy with?
Well, I made the mistake of saying I wanted girls that look like everyday Black women. And it was literally women that look like everyday Black women. And not to say that they were bad, but they weren't models. So they were just everyday women. And so that was mistake number one. And then mistake number two was I didn't pick the photographer. So what I've learned since then is that the photographer, I need to see the photographer's work in order to understand that they see what I see. And so then I always want to see Black women smiling, because we're always known as being angry Black women, or we're always over sexualized, or, whatever. It's an extreme. So I always wanted to make sure that I wanted us to be seen as queens and that we're smiling and living our best life. And so then that's what came across in the second set of photos, right? The music, the vibe was different. It was more, hey, all right, girl. I wanted everyone to feel like we were girlfriends having a hair party. Right. So, and that worked in the second shoot. That definitely came across in the second shoot.
Got you. Getting that brand vision down pat is not an easy move to make. Moving forward a little bit, coming into 2020, Vivian Kaye. There's this one guy, man, I've been talking to him in my life. So I want to get your opinion on him. His name is Chad.
Okay.
Tell me about this Chad individual, and what's one experience that sticks out to you when you've dealt with the Chad?
That's my saying. What would Chad
do?
So Chad isn't, he's an attitude, he's an energy, he's a mood. He is not meant to bash men. He is not meant to diminish anyone's accomplishments. So who Chad is this stereotypical white dude. But, I always say he's about 34, and he's doing all the things he has no business doing. He's a bro. He's a bro, right? He's a bro who feels like he deserves everything because he's Chad. He's a white male. He's the default. So why shouldn't he have these things, right? So I'm always saying, what would Chad do? So Chad, saying what would Chad do is really just meant to help you to immediately dismiss any self-limiting beliefs that you have popping into your head. So say, for instance, especially with women, we'll look at a job description and we'll have 4 out of the 5 qualifications. We'll disqualify ourselves from that job because we don't have that fifth qualification, right? Whereas Chad, the white dude, could have 0. He could have 0 of those qualifications, but he's like, you know what? I think I could do that. I'm going to do it. And you know what? He gets the job. Why? Because he had the audacity, right? He's not afraid of no. He's just going to ask, because what's the worst that could happen? So really, it's just an attitude or a mindset that I've taken on to push me to do the things that I wouldn't typically do, especially as a Black woman, right? Because we're taught that we need to be, 3 times better. Even as Black people, period, we're taught that we need to be 3 times the best, right? In order to be considered, in order to even qualify ourselves, right? So I use Chad as, Chad's doing mediocre things. This is not to encourage you to be mediocre, but it's to encourage you to just do the things. Just ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. It doesn't hurt to just do whatever it is that you need to do. Just do it. Just have the audacity to do the big things in life without worrying about what other people think or whether you're qualified or whether because Chad does not concern himself with any of that stuff.
Because he's going to get it regardless.
He's going to get it regardless. He's going to get it regardless. Like, look at, like, he's the president of the United States. He's the prime minister of Canada. He's the premier of Ontario. Those guys are not qualified to do the jobs they're doing. But the reason why they're there is because they believe it's their right to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Damn. Wow.
None of them. Think about it. None of them are qualified. The prime minister of Canada is not qualified. Was he a politician before this? No. He's a politician's son.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with, how the hell did Donald Trump become the president of the United States? How did he go from a reality TV show to being the president of the United States? Because he had the audacity. And he had all the other white men backing him up because they had the audacity too.
Belief they have.
I also think it's the mindset of the white boss. You know what I'm saying? There's this like suit, tie. You know that Apple painting of the businessman with the apple in front of his face? You know?
Oh, yes.
Yeah? Yep. That kind of corporate male that has this I'm the CEO character, you know? And I think that's what they lean into. Oh, yeah, get that CEO guy in there. And specifically that old white male CEO character, you know? Not like Zuckerberg, even though Zuckerberg makes way more money than Donald Trump.
But even then, he's still a white man.
Exactly, but it's not that character, though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They want that aesthetic of that, you know?
Established old white dude.
Mm-hmm.
That gives them credibility.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that they lean into that no one really talks about, you know, that aesthetic that they want. That's like the exact opposite of Barack, you know.
It's in everything we do, man. You know, it's like TV shows, movies, advertisements. I even read this article. Stephanie Hintz. She's like a writer here in Toronto, but she was like talking about how Black people, like a lot, like for Cabana Pool Bar, all their photos, they don't show any Black people because like there's this research that's been done that shows Black people are not really associated with luxury.
Yeah.
You know, so it ruins the luxury feel. So you'll never see a Dolce & Gabbana, Burberry, Cartier with like a black hand or like a Black girl. Or if it is, it's like the very lightest of the lightest skin, Black woman with a white man. That's what they're going to allow. So it's like these barriers that subconsciously get in your mind as you're growing up that makes you like have these limiting beliefs that you cannot be that because that's not what you're supposed to do. So it's just on us to rise to the occasion and get over that belief. And it's like one of the things you say, what would Chad do?
100%. One thing that we have, though, is the internet. You know, I realize now, you know, when I was looking at the market of all these women businesses blossoming, and I'm like, what caused this? I've said it a few times, but it always pops in my mind, what made this happen?
What made this happen? Yeah.
You know? And one thing that I really think is happening is the blossoming of the democracy. I made up a new word, democracy.
Is it democratization?
Exactly. Democratization of access to retail, you know, through Shopify, through WooCommerce, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, and Vivian's a prime example of that. You know, and recently you've launched Shopify Prep School. Am I right?
Yep.
So can you tell us more about what led you to launch Shopify Prep School and what can people expect from it?
Yeah, well, with Shopify Prep School, how it came about was, you know, during COVID-19, you know, everyone had to unexpectedly shut down. So, of course, everything moved to online. And so there were a lot of people who I knew that either had brick and mortar stores or they did in-person, you know, trade shows, that type of in-person selling that needed to quickly get online, or even people who were, you know, home from work and now they have the time to do that thing that they've been wanting to do, that side hustle they've been wanting to start. But what I found was a lot of people were really overwhelmed with launching an online store on Shopify. So I decided to break it down into doable, into a course, I guess, into things that I would help you do and lend my expertise. I've been on Shopify for 5 years. I've been an e-commerce entrepreneur for 8, and I've been an entrepreneur for 15. So, you know, it's to help lend my expertise in that space in order to help people get their stores off the ground. So that's what that's about. It's broken down right now. It's broken down into four 4 levels, where, we get started on Shopify. We actually open your store together. We set up your payments, your shipping, set up product pages, like set up the whole works. I walk you all the way through until you click, go live. I help you do all that. So, and, and it's funny because at first I thought, well, people could just watch this stuff on YouTube or whatever. But what I realized is that I could answer stuff that couldn't be Googled, right? And so then, like, say, for instance, people were like, well, how do I get all my thumbnail pictures to look the same? I'm like, oh, well, that's easy. Let's open up Canva and, do it this way, download it, and then we re-up it. And I was like, oh. But, someone on a YouTube wouldn't have told you that. They would have just told you straight up how to put it up on Shopify, and that was it. And you were left to figure that stuff out. And when you called the gurus, they couldn't answer those questions either. I could, because I actually have experience with it. I've done it before, right? So yeah, that's what that's about.
Got you. That's amazing. Small businesses, go and check that out. That's a big gem for y'all. And it's paid, I believe.
Oh, yeah, you got to pay for it? Yeah, pay me.
No free
Pay me. Yes.
That's a fact. Pay for that, then go pay me to make your Facebook ads for it.
There you go. There you go.
100%. So I was working towards wrapping up, Viv. Is there anything we didn't cover?
No, what didn't we cover?
You covered a lot. Of ground.
I have one more question to ask.
Sure.
With everything that's happened now, with the economy, the way it's coming back, but COVID has definitely helped a lot of online businesses to really flourish. Where do you see, what's the vision? What's the end goal for your business? When you close your eyes and you think, you know what, this is the vision I have, and I'm working towards it.
I'm working towards a digital empire where it's I don't want to say I become like Oprah, but an online Oprah. But even then, it's I'm Vivian, so I want to be Vivian, but online, and I want to bring confidence to everyone who needs it. I'm an example of what success, if you looked up success, you would not see someone that looks like me or has been through all the things that I've been through in the dictionary, right? So I'm here to redefine what that looks like. And so then I see it, if I have a TV show or a books or I just plan to just blow this up. I have one life to live and I plan to do the most with it. And so then if I can get everyone to just viv a little, I want to be able to do that. Right. And especially for people who look like me, for women that look like me.
I see it. As you said that, I caught the vision. I was like, holy shit.
Same here. It's an energy came within me and I saw that.
When I see it, I see the Budgetnista, I see that lane of being that girl, that woman, of that vibe. Yeah, I totally see it, Where can people find you?
Oh, an Instagram. I am a pleasure. I am an absolute joy to follow on Instagram. So you can find me on Instagram at It's Vivian Kaye, ITSVIVIAN Please do not be afraid to slide into my DMs and say, hey, I heard you on the Hustle Over Everything podcast, and I just want to say what's up. I won't bite unless you want me to.
You know what I'm saying? Word. Go swing the tongue emoji in there. Yeah, yes. You feel me?
Your laugh is infectious, Viv. I love it.
It's real. You know what?
Yeah,
the reason why I laugh the way I do is because when we were younger, my mom used to say, you can't laugh that loud.
Wow.
It's too loud. You need to, because especially as women and especially as a Black woman or a girl, we're taught to just sort of blend in. Just, don't disrupt. Don't make the white people mad. I'm here. You know what? Fuck that. I'm 100% Vivian. So you're going to get all this, Viv. You're going to get all this laugh.
You're boasty.
So,
yeah.
Boasty. Why not?
Exactly.
I feel that. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the pod. In this life, the hustle is what you can control. So control your grind and control your life. This is Hustle Over Everything podcast. Peace.
So